You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Sons of Anarchy After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Sons of Anarchy After Show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bing. Bing is for doing. And we're here doing the Sons of Anarchy After Show, Season 5, Episode 6, Small World. But this is a very special episode because sitting with us are two actors from the show, Chris Reed and Mo McCrea, but along with my old lady.
I was like, come on.
I'm sorry, I'm excited.
I mean, they're important, but the old lady always goes
No,
first.
you're right, the old ladies. Well, no, the guys in the club, the maid guys would go before the old lady.
You're right.
Okay, so
Right.
let's see, who are you?
I'm Krisily Kennedy.
There we go. Krisily Kennedy.
Sometimes I forget.
There it is.
I can't help.
And so we're here with none other than Chris Reed, Mo McCrea, a.k.a. Filthy Phil, and the new leader of the Niners. So very, very excited. Tyler, the character name Tyler we learned tonight. Yes. Very, very cool. So, but we're just going to kind of pick your brains, and then we'll break down the episode, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely. And I'd like to thank you for being like the eighth person in a row to announce me as being special. I mean,
You are.
You are very special.
Oh, yes.
And by the way, so can I first say what I've been saying for weeks about what I love about your character? Now, Chris has been around biker gangs. One summer I was around a bunch of Hell's Angels for a summer working for them, like indirectly for one of their businesses. So I was able to observe a lot of what went on. And there were many, many filthy Phils.
Yeah.
That were like, looked like the big teddy bear type, almost a little bit nerdy, but yet and wanted to really prove themselves. Like they were outcasts, misfits, and they were really working hard as prospects, and of course become made. So I just totally bought it. I bought into you from the beginning.
Yeah, it's really funny. When I first came on, you get a little bit of the fan feedback, and there was a small segment of folks that were like, this guy's not a biker. He doesn't belong. And to me, that was always a great indication of someone who wasn't informed at all in the life of the motorcycle club. I've done my own research and visited with guys, and it's amazing how many of these guys are, just slightly geeky in some ways.
Yeah.
And just are, you see a normal cross section that you would see in society. Just they happen to be in motorcycle clubs.
Right, and I think that feeling of not belonging.
Yeah,
they're not in the 99%.
Exactly, and they find something that they're going to hold on to, and people that are going to accept them and let them do it, be themselves.
And they become the best soldiers because they'll do anything.
Absolutely.
And it probably helps too because you're unassuming. Nobody expects you to.
Right.
That's right.
And he's, and you physically you're big, so it's like, you can grow to someone who handles himself, and you like, why wouldn't Bobby Elvis have been like Filthy Phil at one time? He's into Elvis. I mean, I totally see Bobby Elvis having started to be like Filthy Phil when he began his journey.
I see I agree completely. And even if it's somebody who can't step up, you can always hide behind him, right?
Right, exactly. And then with the size and the beard and just the intimidation. And by the way, like, for me, Opie, even Opie's journey from season 1 to the end, he was buff. He just had that scowl. But at the beginning, he felt like he felt like the midpoint between Filthy Phil and Bobby Elvis. Where that's where Opie started season 1, but I think Opie probably was a little geeky.
You didn't really see Opie come into his own until his wife was killed either. Like he really didn't have that much of a stance until Donna was killed.
Yeah, he was kind of doing the half in, half out thing, and he had the job working construction, and you saw him outside, and he didn't look as hard, and he was a little softer, and we saw him advance as the seasons went on, and he became what Opie was, which is this gigantic, strong, crazy central character.
And so for you, your acting background, tell us a little bit about you.
I love this fun fact because I just learned this today.
What was it? And
I like this fun fact.
There's a lot of fun facts. I wanted to act coming out of high school, so I went to a little junior college and did a 2-year program, and it was awesome.
Where was the junior college?
San Diego Mesa College.
And this is great for fans to hear, and a lot of aspiring actors, maybe who can't afford Juilliard or even Emerson or NYU. I love that. So that's not a school that would be known maybe for its dramatic
not
arts.
at all. And it's had some successful people pass through it who have done good and gone on to Yale and other schools. But I didn't really have that option. I didn't have a great GPA out of high school. I was kind of stupid. And applied to 2 different schools, and that was.
But your focus there was acting.
Coming out definitely.
So what did you study when you were there? Did you just do like the school play and things like that?
Yeah,
or were there
I
classes?
played football and had fun and did student body and all that stuff. But I think I did like 2 homework assignments my entire senior year, if that.
Okay.
Probably not even that. Maybe 1.
What were there classes on? Did you take classes while there?
Yeah. I had a great drama teacher in high school, and I was with him for all 4 years, the entire time. And then out of college, I got lucky and found another great teacher. And
here in LA.
No, San Diego. At the
You see,
at the
and
junior
again, that's
college.
just great for people who
He's
think.
new to LA.
But it's great for people to hear this because, I can't tell you how many times people think that they have to be either in New York or LA to be with the best people. So this is amazing that, from a community outside of those places, you were able to get the education you needed.
Absolutely. And, it's really what you put into it. I mean, it's all about work. And I was lucky. I grew up in a situation where you had to work hard. I grew up on sport fishing boats and ran boats out of college when I didn't do anything else, and acting wasn't quite working out yet. And that's what I did for a while until I got a job at the La Jolla Playhouse, which is a really prestigious regional theater in San Diego. Jersey Boys started there. They've had dozens of shows go to Broadway. Memphis, which just won the Tony a couple years ago for Best Show. And that's where I did my first show and got my equity card, got an agent through it, and started auditioning.
And his first television role is?
Filthy Phil on Sons of Anarchy.
Wow,
Kind of
congratulations. Yeah, really amazing. And do you think when Curt cast you, did he have a long-term plan for Filthy Phil, or did it evolve?
I wasn't really privy to that. Basically my perspective on it is they brought in 3 prospects when I came in.
Right.
Hassack had left at the end of season 2. And in episode 4, they introduced me and Miles. And then in episode 6 of that season, they brought in me, Miles, and Shepard to get our cuts and like a little introduction to the club.
That.
And Shepard was gone rather quickly. He, I don't know what the plan. A great actor played him. Leo Fitzpatrick or Leo Fitzgerald, who was on Kids and is a really darn good guy. And I kind of thought he was going to be the one who stuck around, but it didn't work that way. And me and Miles survived the season, and then. Miles got patched and later killed in season 4. Spoiler alert. And I don't know if the whole central plan was to keep me
So you got to
around.
play spoiler for them.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Anyway, but it's for me as a filmmaker, you're the guy I would have kept because your look and your presence is something that I remembered that stuck with me. And again, it's what I saw back there. Back east is what I saw from what I would think is one of the premier outfit clubs.
Yeah, in New York?
In Boston.
Boston, gotcha.
So, you know what I mean? So seeing that,
Mo has the complete opposite background.
So, going over...
I did my homework today. I'm pretty impressed.
Now, let me also compliment you, Mo, because tonight was really the first night that it's the second night that we saw you, but we got to know more about you.
Yeah.
But all I remembered as you came in tonight and we talked briefly, I just remember your reaction to when the other bikers when Pope had the other bikers killed from the Niners, and your reaction of just like complete shock. And your acting tonight, the restraint that you used and just your expressions, it showed that you were present in the meeting, but yet you could tell you were over your head. That this was like, what am I doing here? I was just a soldier a few weeks ago, not even a second or third in charge, and now I'm in charge. But I'm going to do my best to hold my own. And all that, to me, was conveyed with your body language. To me,
speaking.
and that's great acting. It's a show, don't tell, And do you agree, Chris?
No, absolutely. It's something that's similar between both of their characters, is with both of them, especially, tonight we saw a lot more with Mo, that to be able to show the world exactly what you're feeling without saying a word is amazing. And your background is totally opposite of his background.
How so? How is it? Totally
I got my cheat sheet, I got my homeworks, but you've been acting for a long time.
He was born a woman.
Well, yeah,
that has to come out later in the interview. Later,
sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Come on, Marissa.
Spoiler alert.
But you started acting a lot younger.
Yes, I did.
Went from basketball to theater. I got it. I mean, I got it. I read
Have
the
a
interview.
bad memory. Tell me my life story.
The interview came out today. It was a great interview on starpulse.com. It was amazing. I got to read through it and learn a lot about you. And then finding out that he actually rides a motorcycle, I'm always excited to hear that. But you've been acting for a long time, and you've done a lot of work other than Sons.
Yeah, I think I've had a pretty good career so far. I've been blessed. I started in high school. We shared that. That's the same. Started in high school.
What high school?
Washington Preparatory.
Okay.
In Los Angeles. I'm actually from L.A.
L.A.
Not a lot of people in the industry are from L.A.
No,
they're not. It's funny. We met with a few years ago. We had a meeting with Nike, and one of their gripes was that celebrities come here, kind of get their success out of LA, and then go back to their hometowns around the country as heroes, and I'll build a football field in my hometown, and no one gives back to LA because they just kind of rape the city and leave. So it's very cool that you
now
got those
Nike
small
can get with me.
like USC. Just
now they got you.
barely getting by.
Barely getting by with SC and the Lakers. No, but now me and Nike could come together and they could do a football stadium with
We
me.
can talk that. We can talk about that.
But
we
a
gotta keep
hometown hero.
We got to keep the career going. No, I wanted to. Anyway, it's good that you know Chris about his career, but for our
you're
fans,
not only an actor.
I want to know everything. So,
Right.
so you get out of school, and then what's your next step?
I started bagging groceries.
Did you really?
Yes, I have had one job in my life. I worked at Ralph's and I bagged groceries.
Union job, good money.
On 3rd and La Brea, and all the time people would come in and say, "Oh my God, you're such a handsome guy. You should be an actor." I'm like, "That's what I want to do." And they say, "I'm a manager. Take my card." And I'd be pumped. I'd go home and tell my grandmother about it. Then I'd call. I'd get the assistant. Get the assistant.
Yeah.
Get the assistant.
Yeah.
Over and over, and then finally I quit.
It's funny. I applied at a grocery store and got accepted, but I didn't want to join the union and pay the dues. It's just funny.
Hilarious.
I pay a lot
Are you
more.
SAG? No, you
What's
have to
that?
pay your dues.
No, you have to.
Yeah,
pay
it's a
it.
different story.
SAG
All right,
doesn't play.
so go ahead, please.
Sorry.
So how did you eventually turn into acting from bagging groceries?
It was a really Hollywood dream story, the way it happened. I was involved with this program and this organization where we did a lot of community work, teaching kids in at-risk environments the importance of spoken word poetry or music and the arts to express themselves. And we got a lot of press, so an agent came to check out the program, but I was sitting outside in the lobby. He didn't know I was a part of the program or anything. And he sees me in a chair and he hits me with the same thing I kept hearing at Ralph's, which was, "Oh, you've got a great look. You should be an actor. You're interested in acting." I'm like, "That's what I love. It's what I want to do. I'm trying to find a way in." He's like, "I'm an agent. I'd represent you." By this time, I'm tired of hearing it.
Can I ask you what agency he was with?
Michael Green at Green and Associates.
Oh.
So I say, "I'm tired. I've heard this a lot. I'm just going to find my own way." He said, "No, I don't just talk. I'm serious." I said, "I'm serious too."
Okay.
And he said, "Well, if you have any talent and you're serious, we'll talk next week." So I called, and I've been with them my entire career. It's been
That's
10
amazing.
plus years.
Wow. Okay. So then you started booking stuff.
Yes.
What were some of the other things you've done?
Early, I was in a film. The first movie I was in was 13.
Okay.
Then I did a lot of television shows like NYPD Blue and Boston Public, a couple episodes of that, and Cold Case, and so on, and films. And
It's amazing because usually, and again, I'm the old guy at the table, but this is the journey of all the great actors who eventually, get there. Like right now, it's a recurring role for you, but this is you're right on that program to be able to build to a series regular, which is cool. I'm excited to be sitting next to you.
No, man, thank you. It's humbling. I'm just thankful to get paid to have fun. I feel it's unfair sometimes.
Can you talk to Maria Menounos about that sometimes? She made it very young, and we have this argument all the time where I'm like, you understand, when she'll say, I have to go to work. I'm like, no, you're going down to the Grove where music's playing and the sun's shining and you and Mario Lopez are dancing with 100 people behind you. That's what you're doing. You're not working. Work, I can show you what work is if you want. We can be reminded of how much fun work is. That's really cool. So you ride a motorcycle. Do you ride a motorcycle, Chris?
I do ride, although I don't own a motorcycle.
But you do ride?
Yeah.
Okay, so how much riding is done on the show by the actors?
Quite a bit. Almost all of it. Matter of fact, they only use stuntmen if something crazy happens, like if somebody goes down or if there's some sort of action involving weaving in and out of cars that has to be done really quickly. Last year, Happy kicked a cop car, and that was David LaBrava doing his own riding.
Right.
He's just a very accomplished rider. So I would say 90% of it is done by the actors.
It's impressive.
And it seems like that in the wide shots, and I'm trying to figure out. So no one's on a trailer.
No.
Like on the TV show Chips.
I won't be spoiling anything by saying Ron Perlman is pretty much the only guy who gets trailered up at this point. I did my first season 3. That was me on a trailer, and it was terrifying. It was way worse than riding an actual motorcycle.
The trailer?
Yeah. Oh, it's awful because they duct tape your motorcycle onto this plywood, and then it drags you behind it. And it's falling down because it doesn't have any momentum of its own.
Oh, it's not the same process trailer for cars. See, the car trailer is fine.
Right. No. That's cake.
No, this was and it didn't look like they were. It was terrifying.
It's intentional. So you'll really ride the bike.
Absolutely.
So break out the 2x4.
That's exactly what it was. And after that, I'm like, you know what? I am never getting on that damn trailer.
But Ron Perlman can ride. Right? He can't. No. Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, he can.
Okay. No, he can ride. Right. We don't want to go there. So, anyway,
he can dance. Is what he can do. Man can dance.
We were talking about Curt Sutter and how he started out with 20,000 Twitter followers and what he's grown into. And you had some thoughts on why it's grown so much.
Well, we are actually discussing the wonderful work you guys have done in making your following so big. Yeah, AfterBuzz has become so huge. And Curt, when I first got on the show, he had 20-something thousand followers. And was just, he got publicity when he said an angry thing about the Emmy snubs or something like that. And then season 4, it seems like, in the hiatus, he made a real concentrated effort to stay engaged with the fan base and build almost a relationship with them. And I think it's really, really paid off for our show. I mean, you see our ratings have climbed past 2 seasons, which is basically unheard of.
Yeah.
And now he's up to something like 185,000 followers.
And he's so brutally honest on Twitter.
Yes.
You don't ever have to question where he stands on an issue, no matter if it's with the show or anything else. And I think, as someone who does follow him on Twitter and who's someone who's obsessed with Twitter, I think that's important. And it is also important to respond to whatever followers that you have. And he's really gracious at doing that. And he's also great at giving out information, where he's great at giving you the information that you really want, but just enough to make sure that you engage in the show and that you watch it without giving you all the spoilers. He's really kind of, and I'm very surprised to hear that he's actually tweeting everything himself, because I had gotten to the point where the last year I was like, no way he's tweeting all this stuff himself. He's got to have a publicist doing it for him.
Why do you say no way?
Well,
is it just so clever? Or so,
it is. He's very clever, and he's very witty, and he's very brutally honest. And at the same time, somebody who's as busy as him, I just wondered if he was the one that was actually sending the tweets. Because we all know there's people that don't send their own tweets.
We do. By the way, Maria, all of hers, she sends on herself. And I also know a lot of other celebrities that do. They're very intimate with their fans.
Yeah, you have to be.
It means a lot to them. And I think a lot of celebrities get so unfortunate because they can't really have real friends, because you never know who's being your friend, what's real, what isn't. It goes back to Sunset Boulevard. If you guys ever see this movie, it's a great movie, but it says so much about Hollywood back then and now. But Nora Desmond, I think she has one line where she says, "At the end of the day, it's just us and those little people in the theater," or there's some line. But it's just the fact that you have this relationship with your fans and kind of nothing else.
Oh, I think it's
know?
fantastic.
That's
love
how we got
interacting
Chris
with
here
fans on
tonight.
Twitter. Yeah, exactly.
That's how we got Chris here tonight. I was
was
tweeting.
Tell us about, so you guys, I want to hear both you guys what it's like. I know it hasn't been a long time you worked with Curt, but can you tell us, starting with you, Chris, about what it's like to work with Curt, maybe some interesting fun stories?
Well, it's really pertinent now because Curt always directs the final episode of the season, and that's what we're working on right now. And it's really great to have him in that process because he has everything so figured out, and he knows exactly what he wants to see, that it really makes him a great director on set. He gives you little pieces of action, even when you're just, standing in the background, that informs what's happening on screen. And that's something that I think he uses in his entire process. I mean, the writing, you can tell that he's just thinking about everything, and he's got it all covered. So it comes out really rich on screen. And, besides when he's directing, I don't really have much direct contact with him. At that point, he's very much the writer and the producer, and we see him for the table reads, and that's about it, because he's just so darn busy.
At the table reads, is he directing you guys in any way, shape, or form, or does he leave that to his field generals, like the people directing the episode?
No, he just wants to hear it. He gives a lot of room for his actors, and that's what the table reads for, is he gets to listen to what their take is on it, and that informs his first edit and so on and so forth.
But he's not saying, can you say it more this way?
He has never given a direction at a table read.
Wow.
Not one.
You know what my question is? Do you guys, I know that in some series, when you get your parts, you get your scripts, you're not given the entire script for the whole episode. You're only given the couple pages that you're in. Is that so for you guys as well?
No, we get the whole script.
Okay. So you really got to feel for the entire episode and know what's going on to know where you stand rather than it's all a big secret.
I think that's important. Yeah, it's smart for them to do it that way, to at least understand what's going on in that particular episode so you could get a feel for what your color is in the whole grand scheme of the painting.
Absolutely. And yeah, I agree.
I don't know which one of you said this because I remember reading it today, but you were saying just that what you think your words are being spoken sometimes has nothing to do with the story that it's telling.
Oh yeah, that was my
That was you,
yes.
yeah, and that was really interesting to me because as a viewer, we would never know that or see that. And when you get a script, sometimes it's hard to really feel out where it is. And then when you watch back, that was kind of cool to hear you say.
And I think tonight's episode is a prime example of that, where everybody's having these conversations, but it's really not about the daycare and the kids playing and having to kiss them before you go to sleep. It's all the subtext and everything. So I think that for me being a part of the show, and Chris, I know you know the same thing, the way Curt Sutter sets everything up, the whole world is orchestrated to where you have to find truth in so many lies, which makes it interesting. So where people have to decipher, like, is this really happening, or what are they talking about? And if you know, then you get to be in on the secret, which makes it part of the fun of being a fan of the show.
And you know what's interesting, Mo, is that Tyler is at the head of his organization.
Yes.
And he's not necessarily embracing it. He's trying to figure out his way. And we kind of see Jax, who's also newly at the head of his organization.
Very similar.
And you can just see the different directions that they're taking. Whereas Jax is watched his best friend die. You watched Darnell die brutally in the first scene.
Right.
Who was a friend of mine. I played him as a dear friend.
You guys had to have come up together. And it's a very parallel situation you guys have. But the one scene with you, you saw just how differently those choices have led you. I mean, unless they took out a scene where you beat somebody to death with a snow globe.
I haven't gotten my retribution yet, so I'm still waiting.
Oh, it's going to be cold and brutal.
Yeah, well, and he's more green, than the character than Jax, because Jax grew up in the system and
had a father who's present.
Right, and it was interesting. You're right though, because it's watching Alvarez, who's like the vet.
He's a definite vet.
And you've got Jax, who's kind of in the middle, and then you have Tyler, who's like the rookie. So it was interesting. It was a great summit. Lynn's always there. He's great too.
Yeah, it's nice to see him around.
I mean, it's like, even to do the show, you guys, it's hard because there's so much going on.
There's so many layers.
And there's so many characters in this. That's really hard to do as a writer in an hour, and they've got me on everything.
It's hard as an actor too, because you go into chapel and then you're like, okay, wait, okay, what happened 3 pages ago in the last scene? Do I know this? Or does the character know this? Yeah, the character knows this, but he doesn't know this. So you've got to make sure you play that as honestly as you can, without
tipping the hand.
Exactly, or indicating a little too much, and it's hard
by trying not to indicate.
Oh my God.
I don't want to look at you because
I'm so
I don't want
happy
to
I
tip
don't have
them
to
off.
work anymore. Tomorrow I'd be terrible. But yes, it's something that the layers just get really complicated after a while, and you have to be on top of your game as an actor, and then as a fan, it's even way more harder because you don't get to read it 3 times.
No.
Was the Opie death scene and maybe even the Opie funeral, was it emotional for you guys? And before you answer, this is what I want to say is we were watching it. We were very emotional watching it. And I said to myself, I had a funny feeling that it felt like it would have been emotional for the actors too, because he seems like a good guy. I don't know. I've always felt like I've had a knack for watching actors say, okay, I can tell that guy's really a dick. And then I can tell this guy's really a nice
It shows up
guy.
in the work. It shows up.
And it does. It does. You know something? It does. And I feel it does. Or if I see someone that maybe is not even a dick, but just so consumed by the role.
Yeah.
I say this about Jack Lord doing Hawaii Five-0. Again, I'm dating myself. I say this about Adam West doing Batman. I say Shatner doing Star Trek. But like these guys were just, as much as they got, some of them got mocked for the way they portrayed the roles, I feel like they just were the role.
Yeah.
And at some point, they never knew how to step out of it. They were that much into the role, which I think is kind of cool. But Opie, to me, seems like a nice guy.
Good guy.
He seems like a good guy, and I would think that to not be working with him anymore would be emotional for a lot of those actors who spent 4 or 5 seasons. And, when you do these kind of shows, and I know from having done writing on TV shows, it's so sad when shows go off the air or you break everybody up, not only because you're saying goodbye to someone at a job. It's not just any job. It's not like you working at Ralph's. You worked with them for 5 years, and still you'd be bummed when they leave. But these jobs that are so significant, and there's just major pivotal parts of your life-changing jobs. This is life-changing, this job for you. And Mo, this is a life-changing job for you. So think of, for Opie, life-changing for him and life-changing for the other people around him, other than, say, a Ron Perlman. But even to a degree, it's given Ron and Gemma such extended plays in their careers that maybe they didn't expect. So with all that said, was it really emotional just to do the scenes?
Immensely. Because Ryan came back for episode 4 when he laid in the coffin. Wow. And it was really a real goodbye at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, because Ryan is a really soulful dude, and he might say things along the lines about the process that he went through with Opie. But he did say one thing that I think can be revealed, and that's that every actor has like a graveyard of characters that they did, and then they put them away, and they're just always kind of there. And I have them, even though not on TV. I have them from my stage work and everything I've done my whole career, as I'm sure Mr. McCrea has quite a few of them littered about. But Ryan was talking about that, and it's really true. I mean, you say goodbye to someone, and they go away, and there's a sadness to that you can't avoid, and those 2 weeks were pretty tough.
But you guys are really a family outside of the show as well. I'm constantly seeing and following on Twitter and on Facebook that you're doing charity events together. And outside of work, you guys are all pretty tight as well.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And I think it shows on the show, too.
Absolutely.
And let me jump in right there, since you said charity event. We have to acknowledge this wonderful thing that Chris Reed just did.
Classic.
The Golf Classic
It was amazing.
an amazing
We were
event.
trying to go, actually.
We were trying to go. I was like, how do we find out about this?
Oh, you guys should have let me
Chris
know for
Reed
that.
I
put
know.
together
I saw the
such
pictures
an
were
amazing
amazing.
event for an amazing cause.
I could have poured out. Sent you Maria.
Next year,
Next year we
consider
will.
that booked.
Absolutely.
We'll all be there next year. Don't worry.
That would be
As
fantastic.
long as you take along my old lady.
You know,
old lady has
it
to go.
wasn't
Old
me.
lady.
I'm going to just interject a quick shout out to thebootcampaign.org, and they're really the ones who got that done and organized it, and they're the best people. What the cause for the boot campaign is it's just it started as an awareness thing. Had people buy combat boots and put them on for soldiers returning home, that they can see that
nice.
people are wearing boots, and it's just a small thing of support. And it's grown, and now they give away mortgage-free homes. Their whole mission is to improving soldiers' lives when they come back home.
So important.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
work with the Lone Survivor Foundation with Marcus Luttrell, who's got a movie coming out. And it's such a beautiful, wonderful organization filled with the most inspiring people you can imagine. A lot of the volunteers are military wives and spouses.
So Marcus,
Great.
his movie is coming out, right? It was just, is it Mark Wahlberg is the one?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's Emmett Furler is doing it.
Yes.
And I
Was it
know-
Pain and Gain? What
I believe that
is it Pain and
is that
Gain?
the name? I'm sorry that I don't know because you just caught me off guard with this. But I just heard great
know.
things about this movie. Randall Emmett's a producer that I,
I heard
work with.
Wahlberg really threw himself into it.
Yes.
I did. I had heard that, but I haven't heard much about it. We haven't seen Marcus.
It's supposed to be a great story. They just had a dinner with all of them, and the survivors, the families of the survivors met with the actors playing the roles, and I guess were so touched and how well they did. But so that's really interesting. So he's part of this.
Yeah, it's just Marcus has been involved with Boot Campaign, and it's impossible not to hang around that organization and not be really touched.
And you got involved and then pulled all the sons in, or
You know, I came from San Diego, which is a military town, and I count myself really fortunate in that because I grew up with F-14s flying over my elementary school, and I got a real sense of service in the town because you had friends whose dads were going away, moms were going away, and constantly moving and leaving, and I got a real sense of what it means to be in the service, and I really, really appreciate it, and I count myself really fortunate for this job for many, many reasons, and none of them is more prominent than I get to do a little bit in helping service members and just
Great.
anything towards it.
there's always been kind of it seems like a kinship between people in the service and bikers. And if you like, the Hells Angels was started by, in 48 by old military men who
Booze
basically
Fighters, which was
Right.
the first club in California, was military.
was
guys.
military because they kind of came back. They still wanted to kick ass, and they kind of had no purpose. They felt like they had no
Yeah.
purpose, nothing to do, and they, were, and probably were messed up from the war. And back then we weren't aware of post-traumatic stress disorder and all those other things, and they banded together, and off it went. And so it's also interesting on the show that Jax's dad was Vietnam.
Yes, Clay, Piney, and John Teller were all Vietnam vets.
So it's perfect. So it's very organic that you
And that just goes to how Sutter thinks everything out. He has a whole mythology behind it that richly informs what you see where the club is today. And that's with Clay, with Gemma, with the dearly departed Piney and John Teller. And it influences who Jax is becoming, and that's the story of the show. Wow. And it just shows that the military connection will always be there with Sons, and it's something that I'm really proud to be a part of.
That's very cool.
We're happy to have you on Sons.
Yeah.
And I just want to let the listeners know as well that Chris does have another engagement that he has to get to. So if you stop hearing from him throughout the episode,
if he just fades away,
it's not because he doesn't love you all. It's just because he does have somewhere else that he has to get to.
I can do my Chris Reed impression.
I'll be happy. You can do it.
You know what? Hey, Marissa, do we have commercials anymore that we can go to?
Yeah, we can go to commercial.
Let's go to a commercial, and then when we come back, we will
break down the
with Mo.
episode.
Can you stay with us, please?
Yes, I can.
All right, we are going to actually break down this episode, and Chris, maybe you'll come back another week.
Whenever you
Absolutely.
want.
We'd love to have you back.
I would love to, yeah.
And sit in and really,
That would be great.
do an episode with us. All right, let's go to commercial, Marissa, and then we will be back to break down this episode.
Hey there, good buddies. The handle's Willie Bear. I'm a truck driving man, but I'm not that old school kind of truck driving man. No, I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving through these great United States of ours. And my favorite podcasts in the world are from AfterBuzz TV. And why? Because AfterBuzz TV is like a post-game wrap-up show for all your favorite TV shows, like Jersey Shore, Dancing with the Stars, Mad Men, and a whole truckload more. I like listening to my Gossip Girl podcast, catching up with all my fellow fans and getting all the latest news and gossip. No, I got some strong opinions. And AfterBuzz TV lets me share those opinions with thousands of other listeners. Woo-wee, what a feeling. I used to doze off on those lonely stretches of road. And don't worry, I got the cruise control. But now I'm wide awake and listening to all the AfterBuzz TV goodness. Check them out, give them a holler, and tell them the old Willie Bear sent you.
AfterBuzz TV.
Hi, I was once like you,
a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after-shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Like Mo McCrea is busy. Leave a message.
And we're back. And Mo McCrea's busy, so leave a message. Hey guys, we're back. Kevin is stepped out for a minute. He's saying goodbye to Chris, which we're super glad that you guys came in tonight. But we want to get into the episode because I know our listeners want to get the little breakdown before we head out for the night. So the first thing that we are going to talk about is the Gemma Nero Carla situation.
Wow, okay.
Which, first of all, I mean, we've seen Carla be set up as scary. Mm-hmm. She's tough. She's not taking any bullshit from anybody. But I don't know. I don't think that I ever expected Carla to cross the line that she crossed tonight.
Yes.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, guys.
Kevin's back.
Welcome back,
He
buddy.
missed
Thank you.
us.
How'd you do it without me?
We did good. Mo McCrea was busy.
All right,
We left him a message.
Here's the thing. I'm not a host.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not a host, but
You're hosting?
Krisily is a host. She's a professional host, and she throws it on me.
I'm just the old lady.
To do this.
I do. I totally throw it on him.
Yeah, she throws it on me because she wants to be the old lady on this.
I just want to be
How
the
did
old
you do when I
lady.
was gone?
Well, Mo actually brought us back. It was brilliant.
thank you, Mo. What do
Talking about our great commercial voices.
Oh, Sir Richard Wentworth. So we need to reach out to good old Sir Richard and have him
Mo.
do your
would be great.
voicemail. Yeah, he's
I'd
fantastic.
really appreciate that.
He's a very talented young man.
We were talking about Gemma, Nero, and Carla and that disastrous threesome tonight and how Carla's really been set up to be. We've known she's tough. We know she's hard. We know she doesn't take bullshit. But
she's a Latino Gemma.
But as I watched tonight, I did not expect it to go where it went. By any, there was
didn't
nothing
either.
in my head.
I
and
didn't.
I'm usually good at
So it was
pinning this.
great writing. Great writing.
Absolutely.
Brilliant writing.
I didn't expect it.
Surprise factor.
But I found it to be organic. I didn't.
Of course it was.
It wasn't like, to me, it wasn't like, wait, that's out of character. It was.
It's like, okay, I expect you to break in. I expect you to pull a gun. Do I expect her to say, Nero, Gemma, get naked in bed and start having oral
No, but
sex?
that seems like
No.
Curt Sutter. Like if you read his tweets and stuff, he's crazy.
The perversion.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, you know what kind of guy he is.
Yeah,
so
he's a
it's-
pretty raw guy.
He's really raw, but I appreciate that in him. I feel like not having a censor is what makes me fall in love with Curt Sutter every time he tweets.
Well, and to me, I looked at Carla as a Gemma type. She's an old lady, loyal, smart, all those things. But Gem is so damn good that Carla just came up a little short, and she knew she lost.
She did.
She knew she lost, and she was going to blow her head off because she was a true old lady. Her life was all about Nero.
And it was interesting that they let us in on the fact that they weren't lovers. Where in Carla's mind, they may have been lovers, and she may have been
She
in love
wished
with
they
Nero.
could have been.
Right, but it was that was really.
But Gemma was right. Gemma said she was in love with you.
But
because of course Gemma knows
he looked
all.
at her like a little sister. Like he brought her in, he took care of her, then she saved him. But I think as viewers, we all thought that they had something.
It felt like to me that they messed around maybe like 10 years ago. Like I see that a lot with relationships, and then the guy whatever starts hitting on younger girls, whatever. Right. But the old lady stays loyal.
Right.
But man, it was something. You know, it was. It definitely took me. It took me by surprise. But again, I bought it.
It's always viable.
I bought it.
Yeah.
So in comes, of course, Clay.
Well, she called Unser
right?
first.
She calls. You're right. She
and
called
he,
Unser
of course,
first.
doesn't answer because he's had it.
Right.
Old Faithful is done.
He is, and I love Unser.
And by the way, but by the way, listen, we can't really just gloss over that because what Unser said to her was amazing. Basically, you're going to die alone.
Yeah.
You know,
you have no one.
Everyone knows you just, I know what your game is now. You kind of just give me a kiss or whatever to get me to do what you want. But at the end of the day, it's all about you.
Right.
And Jax knows it and Tara knows it. And you're going to die alone. And by the way, to me, I don't know many more painful things to say to somebody, especially a woman.
He should have incorporated the fact that she would have 9 cats. That would have just really did it. You're going to die alone with some cats.
Birds,
with cats.
Because she loves her birds.
Right.
The birds.
Yeah, she's got
Creepy
the birds.
bird lady.
Same deal, birds or cats. But I thought that was amazing because for all these seasons, Unser, he has always been
her right-hand man.
Yeah.
He shows up when no one else does.
But she's amazing because she said, "What's up with you?" Like, she's so shrewd.
But
like,
she crossed the line with him. Had she not kissed him and not given into that moment.
She needed to at the moment, though, to get him to do her bidding.
But if she hadn't, he'd still be there for her. Because he would still be waiting.
She let him bite the carrot, basically.
Yeah, she didn't. She gave him too much.
But we don't know if she didn't give him that at the moment.
Would he have? Yeah.
He may have had it back then. Like, she had to keep doling out,
Baiting.
little by little.
To bait him.
But it's interesting. The character of Gemma, she's so shrewd. But she said, "What's up with you?" She knows he's talking to.
Of course.
May not know specifically that he's talking to the sheriff or whatever, but he knows that
he's hanging around the hospital.
He's having a moment of consciousness where he's starting to say, you know what?
He's getting away from her grip. He's coming out of the web.
Yeah.
And
she is such a Black Widow, too. She's just
like
evil.
Such a Black Widow.
And I was actually shocked that she ended up calling Clay. Like,
no, not at all. Who's she going to call? Not at all.
She's called Bobby in the past. She's called Tig in the past.
They're not with her anymore. Everything's been, and by the way, we saw her and Clay, things melting. Remember last week we saw in the healing a little melting?
Yeah, not so much healing this week. Not so much healing
this was not healing this week. But I totally see her calling Clay.
Right.
I could see. I mean, Mo, what do you think?
Yeah, she needs him, and he wants her so bad that she knows she could always kind of dangle that in front of him because he desires to be in her good graces.
Right.
Right.
So he'll do the things that no one else would do, and for the exact reason what she showed at the end, which was, "Can I come by tonight?"
Right. And of course she said
motives.
yes. Of course.
Why did she say yes?
Well, she knew she wasn't going to be there. Right.
Wait,
exactly.
that's Mo.
She had to.
She had to. You can't have him come and clean up the literal and proverbial dirty work and then say, "Okay, now that's it."
Now beat it.
Because he didn't finish the job.
Exactly.
She needs to wait till those ashes are cremated, done,
right?
Then she can go back to saying no. Yeah, she can't say no yet.
No, she's not stupid.
And let's talk about Clay and Nero just briefly. Their little tete-a-tete. I'm surprised Nero didn't say, "Hey, there's nothing between us," because he made the agreement with Jax, but he said, "I don't know."
No, Clay said man to man. He couldn't lie. He asked for man to man.
I agree. I agree. He couldn't. He's not sure. He doesn't know where he stands with her. We saw them having that moment where you could see the passion and the fire between them, but they weren't supposed to do it because of what Jack said. And now, I don't think he really knows where he stands with Gemma. And from last week when I talked about the interview, we know that they're going to be each other's distraction throughout the season. So we know there's something that's going to continue between them, whether it's physical or not, we don't know. And I feel like he was being honest with Clay, which I don't know why anybody would, but he clearly doesn't know who Clay is.
He has a code of honor.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick,
can we talk about Clay?
Do we want to jump down to Clay? No, we'll get to Clay. Don't worry. So let's talk about Tara. We see Tara goes in and tries to make a deal with Otto, played wonderfully by Curt Sutter.
She's a fine actress.
She's great.
She's a fine actress. She's a wonderful actress.
And
interject there.
She's developed so much into her character from seasons in the past to now. It's this season when she really took the role of the president's wife. You saw it physically in her. She stood differently.
Yeah, manifested.
And
yes.
it was kind of amazing to see that as somebody who's watched from season 1 where she was just like this doctor who didn't know her place. And she kind of was like, I was like, why is he with the geek? Like, I don't understand. He's a biker. But now she's had
a great arc. She's probably had the greatest arc in terms of trajectory out of every character on the show.
And rather organic. And by the way, I always bought him liking her because if you're a badass, that's exactly what you want. You want the one that's totally moral, a doctor, even better.
Square. You want to get a
You
square.
absolutely.
Bring a square to the circle.
That's what we want. I mean, that's what he would want. But anyway,
Absolutely.
But it's interesting. So she gets into Otto. Otto's not budging.
No, I mean, he
Not
would have
budging.
budged if she budged down on her knees.
But he said, and I won't either.
Right.
You know, which I thought was great writing and a great line.
Great power play too. It was like, you want me to do this, you do this. No,
Yeah.
then I can't do it.
Well, I
It's
can't-
like,
yeah.
You want me to compromise my integrity, you compromise yours.
And everything that Otto has gone through and done for the club behind bars for all these years.
Yeah, he's well within his
done.
rights.
Like
he's well within his
he's
rights.
had it, and the problem is that they may never get the truth to him.
So
He may never believe the truth.
we have to go rapid fire. I'm sorry, you guys,
I know
because
we
we took
do.
up so Tara and Gemma make it seem like, again,
Amends.
things are melting. Can you come by and watch the kids and all that? So it's like things are moving along.
And Tara
with
needs
them.
her a little bit. You know,
Absolutely,
so
right?
She's going to, it's like keep your friends, enemies close and or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah, that
You know,
thing.
That one that I keep screwing up.
Keep your Gemma close.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Keep Gemma close. It's
And
what she's doing. She's
and
not
keep
being
Gemma
stupid.
even closer.
Right.
Because okay, so that's what's going on with them. But what was interesting is Tara and Jax both kind of lie to each other.
Big time lie.
Okay, so it's like, I had nothing today. It was kind of uneventful. And then she's like, yep, I didn't get to Otto, but
see
I
him.
will.
But would you guys say it was for the same reason, to protect the heart
Yes.
of the other? To keep the worry
100%.
factor down?
Tara is very much forming her role as the president's wife, and she's not going to just go to Otto once. She's going to go to him and continue to
Is
try.
she going to wear him down or is she going to kill him? Like, what is her plan?
I think she'll try to wear him down a little bit first.
You don't think she's going to do the deed?
I think that she will eventually, but I
think she
think she'll
will?
try to wear him down first. And I
And by
think
the way,
that that's
does-
why she didn't tell him tonight, because she wants to have the couple chances to go to him and say, I tried, and then I had to.
Does killing him benefit them? I mean, do we have his testimony under wraps?
Yeah, it's in there. That's the whole reason why she's there, is to make him reverse his testimony. It's
Right.
there.
So
Yeah, so
him,
killing doesn't help.
killing's not going to help.
It seals it.
So she's going to wear him down. And it's interesting. She's like, Gemma, can you step in on the kids? Gemma's out boozing. She's back to being a party girl. And of all things, Joel McHale comes in to hit on
It was
her.
so weird. It was so
He was
weird.
good. Joe
He was
McHale
really good.
He was really
He's a talent.
dropped in and honest.
I would have never expected to see Joel McHale in a role like that either.
No,
He
which
had the
At
stubbly
all.
beard. Did you see the stubble?
He was good. Like,
he was really good.
completely unassuming. I was just like, did that really just happen?
But here's one problem, and I'm gonna share this with you, Mo, because you're a young actor.
Okay.
The problem is when you're Joel, and this is why Joel is so talented, that he's able to balance this. But it's hard for him. It's also hard for Mario Lopez, and anyone who's quote a personality but also an actor. When we get to see them as Joel McHale every day, it's hard to buy him as random guy in the bar hitting
Disbelief, the
as soon-
Get in your
suspension of
box.
disbelief.
Right, that's it. So when as soon as they come in, to a scene, I know this as a director when we call it stunt casting, but when you stunt cast, say, a Snooki, or let's say you want to throw them in your movie because they're gonna give you a little bit of juice.
They're going
in
to bring
terms
their
of
Twitter
publicity.
fan base.
Fan
all that stuff, and it's a business. But the hard thing is your mind immediately goes to, that's Joel McHale.
Right.
So while we're all shouting at the screen, that's Joel McHale, we're losing.
Moments.
Right. So it's a little bit difficult. He's a good enough actor where he pulls it off, but it is difficult. That's why we got to keep you a little hidden.
That's it for
I mean,
this
that's why
interview.
no
That's it.
reality. No reality
Well, he'll
show
be
for you.
back because Joel was slated for 2 episodes, so we will see more of him.
Yeah, we will. Well, I can't see him just coming in. I mean, it
We'll see
seems
more
like,
of him.
and by the way, like fun and smart for the show. Like, why not
And
reach
this is
more
the
people?
first season that they're really bringing on people like
And
that.
you know who else is coming?
I do, but I want you to tell us.
Oh, get ready, Marissa. Here we go.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler
Dave
alert!
Navarro.
Super
Dave
excited about Dave Navarro.
Navarro,
He's
wow.
perfect for the show anyway. I mean, Dave Navarro's perfect.
Yeah, the aesthetic, he looks like he's supposed to
does.
be
He
on Sons of
aesthetically
Anarchy.
looks perfect, but because I see him now as more of a reality star with Ink and the other show he did.
Leave us reality stars alone.
Yeah,
We
no,
can
but
do
I love you.
more.
You're my old lady.
We can do more.
But with him again, yeah. But it's what you were like one and done with that season.
Right.
I'm good. I buy you and everything else. But with him, like I know him so much,
Right.
as a personality.
So it's gonna be like, oh, that's
Absolutely.
Dave Navarro. Is it
Exactly,
gonna
it'll
do
be
that
the
thing
same
for you?
thing. So,
Well, that's how I
and
felt
by
about
the-
Ashley Tisdale.
You know what? Because I like to, dabble behind the camera as well. So when I stunt cast, I'm going to have them just stand still for 10 seconds before they say anything.
Actually, you know what? It's actually
You
a
like
good
that?
idea.
They
So that
did.
everybody can say, hey,
They
that's
can get
Joe
their
McCrea.
screens
Or they
out.
could do
Or
it.
what they did with Ashley Tisdale is they actually worked her in so slowly. You know,
So it was a slow build.
it was like a 1 episode or 2 episodes before we really got to know her a little bit.
I still didn't buy her. I bought Joel McHale more than Ashley Tisdale, and that's not just a girl hate thing because I like Ashley Tisdale.
I thought Ashley
didn't
was,
believe her on the
I
back
thought
of the
Ashley was
bike?
fine.
No, and I didn't believe that she would burn her ankle and it would cause Jax to
All
go
right,
down.
stop.
who's been
Here we go.
riding.
Now we're getting off the subject. So finally, so listen, the one thing I was excited for tonight is I knew the sergeant was going to get killed as soon as I
Yes,
saw the opening.
you
Okay,
did.
we're going to wrap that shit up. I love the way that went down.
It went down, and we knew it was coming. Like, they had to get that retaliation. Jack said it. The fact that Pope set that up as good faith, it was amazing to me. Like, that just showed a lot to me about the rest of the season.
But it was just so manipulative. It is so 48 laws of power. Like the way Pope conducts,
Yeah,
he's
he's
like
awesome.
the puppet master. Like what
He
he's doing with
is.
my character and the Mayans. I don't know what he has over them that would
He's
bring.
so smart, though.
Yeah, he's just so smart. and he's ahead.
We've never gone against anyone like him from Jackson. I
No.
love like Clay. He's so
Now
so
all of a sudden, Clay wants out of drugs.
No, but by the way, Clay is so past his prime as a leader. He's like, we've gone against guys like this before. He says tonight, it's like, no, you have never dealt with a pope before.
And Harold Perrineau, what he's done with the character has been so amazing because for me as an actor, I get scripts and I read them and I put a voice to everything the other characters are doing, and watching his take on it has been so interesting because there were so many different ways he could have played this I'm the toughest guy to ever come. But he just plays it all so subtle and understated, and it's contained. But you could still sense the ferocity is in there.
And I love the villains that have this like kind of charm to them.
Yeah.
Like he
Yes.
seems so eloquent.
You want to like him.
and charming.
It's a
You do.
magnetism there that
Hey,
he's
by the
playing.
way, I'm now liking him. I'm like,
You
let's do
do.
business with this guy.
Yeah,
let's
you
make
like
some
him.
money.
That's the dangerous magnetism.
Yeah.
It's like
I
the
know.
Godfather. He's like,
That's it.
come on, let me. And the
Why
next
is it?
thing you
God,
know-
I think it's just again from being back east and growing up with a lot of those guys. I might be programmed that way, but I'm like, okay, what do you need me to do?
Yeah, you
Where do we
like
bury
it.
the body.
do.
You like it. 'cause
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's also like a man's man kind of thing.
He is. And
Do-
he's
The
rooting
gentleman.
for our boy.
Without giving away anything, do you get to work with him anymore?
Yes.
If this is great. All right, that's really cool to know.
I mean, maybe. Spoilers now.
No,
maybe
no,
Harold
no.
Perrineau and
Chris is
I
too
will-
busy nagging us about time. So I loved. I mean the snow globe and
Yeah.
the music playing. By the way, great job to the director
Very
tonight.
eerie.
Them all
Yeah.
walking around.
You'll never
him.
hear that song the same way
Like,
again.
Just sharks swarming, and I love Tig. How he just it was the. By the way, I felt tonight was the old Tig I remember from the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Yep,
He's gotten
unjustified
so
killing.
soft in the last few years, and just yeah.
Let the man emote.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, by the way, we
He
let
did
know
get a little soft.
He has been soft, but we love Tig, and we've
do.
been nervous he's going to get killed off. So we're
Right.
grateful he's spared. But I love seeing the old Tig. Just out comes a gun, bang, blows
Done.
the wife's head off.
Just business as usual.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, but it felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good to do that for Ope. And then they pound this guy's skull, and that was nice. That was a lot of fun. But going to the Pope deal that he makes with Jax, I think you kind of have to take the deal. And he's offered 2%. Like it's a sweet deal.
It is a sweet deal. What I like about the deal and what I like about Pope and his character is that it's almost like Pope sees himself in Jax.
Absolutely.
And he sees a lot of potential in
Yes.
Jax. And he's said so many things to Jax about him being a leader and being a man and taking the step up. And tonight saying loyalty has contingencies and it's got to be within your own group with the whole break-ins. And to me, to see Pope see himself in someone else makes me believe that whatever deals they have are going to have the best intentions at this point.
See, there has to be a caveat. There has to be a
Of
caveat
course.
there, but Jax is becoming kind of enamored with this whole thing that you're saying that he likes him and he admires him.
Could
as
the
that
caveat?
father.
Okay, but could the caveat be that it's just simply good business?
No, never.
I mean, he's going to profit off the Suns. It's not just a matter of like I can do business with this guy and make a lot of money with him. It
No,
can't
I think
just
there's
end at
always
that.
an ulterior motive.
It can't.
feel
Are you
like there
sure?
has-
there's no
It just can't-
altruism there.
there's no altruism, but it's like, you know what? Like I can do business with you, you can do business with me, we can make money together.
I think there's definitely ulterior motive, and I don't think that Jack's looking at it that way right now because he's seeing someone that believes in his leadership and his qualities.
And he needs that now. His confidence is very shaken.
He does.
True.
And by the way, Pope is basically leading him to the conclusion that someone within your club is doing this. He's not outright saying it, but he's leading him there because Pope
almost like
knows.
he knows. Yeah, he knows exactly who.
He knows something's up, and he's like, so he's giving him good advice. But but I personally think that Jax is still gonna, for Opie, is still gonna at the end of all this is gonna kill Pope. I think he hasn't forgotten it. I feel like it's in the back of his head.
Now that he knows that there's a $5 million reward on his head, I don't know if he'll think.
And by the way, Pope lays that out there.
Very conveniently, like, by the way, if I die,
just so you know. And at $5 million, that means that whole faction of the club gets wiped out. It's not just Jax. Everyone's going to go.
Everyone will go.
Jax and the sheriff. We see the sheriff out of uniform, 10-day leave.
Wife's not made.
Wife is dead. We see Unser kind of stepping up to help him, and them kind of having a cool exchange, and we see him actually try to take on the Sons, and it seems like his relationship with Jax just took a step backwards. Like they were kind of making some headway, like they could work together.
Yeah, not so much after this.
So
it was rough to see that. Unser telling Clay his theory. As I sat and I watched it, I was like, why is he doing this? He's so stupid.
Yeah, we were like, don't.
But now that I think about it and have watched the rest of the entire episode, Unser did it on purpose because Unser knows it's Clay. Unser knows that Clay's behind it. He knows that Pope's too smart. He knows.
So why tell him? Why, if you're Unser, why are you telling Clay?
Because everyone thinks that Clay is still so weak. Because no one believes.
So Unser thinks he's weak?
I do. I think that Unser believes the same things that everyone else in the club does, that he still needs his oxygen, that he's weak and he's not rebuilding and that he can't hang. And I think that's why Unser did it, because he needed to let him know that he's on to him.
I'm going to have to agree this time.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to have to agree.
And I just have, because I like to be right. I get really excited when I'm right.
I was right, but I told you Clay was coming back, baby.
I told you it was all fake.
That? You called it?
I was so excited.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, the breathing thing, it's all a fraud. It's all a fake. He's not hurt.
So you're saying Ron Perlman didn't convince you as an actor? Is that what you're saying?
No, he totally convinced me.
No, he did.
But we knew that.
Well, when he couldn't pick up the bike and he was alone.
Right.
Because what do they say? Characters revealed what you do alone when no one's watching.
Right.
Yeah, because it was real at a point.
Yes.
It was real at a point.
But when we see him pumping iron, that one scene, it was like, oh, wait a second.
And then he took the oxygen off to go talk to the, I was going to say the CIA, but I guess they're not really the CIA. Well, they are really the CIA. But when he went to go talk to the Irish, he took the oxygen off. And I was like, it's all a facade. Like, he wants everyone in the club and everyone around him to believe that he's weak, he's hurt, and he can't do this.
Very Machiavellian.
He's going to come back and he's going to take them all out.
Well, we see, we see that, before we even talk about his comeback, let's talk about the fact that at the vote, he's subtly doing everything to undermine. And I wasn't looking at his body language. He wasn't turned to the side, was he? He was facing front.
No, he was head on.
Head on.
Yeah.
So we're seeing, we've been noticing Ron, as it seems, I don't know if it's the actor's choice or the director, he's kind of turned to the side at the table since he's been injured. But tonight he was
head on.
He was head on. And 6-5, close vote.
Very close.
And all is like.
Those freaking nomads. I hate seeing the nomads at the table.
Nomads.
I hate the nomads at the table.
Krisily hates the nomads.
I don't believe that they should be able to have a vote this early on in the game. Like, I understand that they got voted in. They're helping because they need numbers, but they shouldn't be able to vote. They're too new, and you can't trust another club yet.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just thinking like a biker. I'm not thinking like a host.
I love it.
But Chuck Zito can do whatever he wants. Let Chuck do whatever he wants.
I'm reading his book right now as we speak. It's very interesting. He's the man.
The nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I've
Chuck
heard that.
Zito is so nice. Like because you hear all the stories, of course, and you meet him, and you're like, and he comes over, he's like, hey, man, I just want to make sure I introduce myself to you, Chucky, and I smile, he just embraced you. He was a great, great guy, so nice.
And I believe that to be very different of what we see in Sons of Anarchy is that he didn't become the president of his motorcycle club because he was hated. He became the president of his motorcycle club because he was the right person for the job, and he is a nice guy, and he does make the right decisions on time. But I've heard that he's amazing, and his book, the stories in his book are they're mind-blowing.
I have to get his book because him as a person, but also in his eyes, because I grew up in a very intense environment. I grew up in South Central, so I grew up around people that had, very tainted, checkered past. Right. And some of those guys had the biggest smiles and the warmest hearts.
Right.
Very
but
true.
in their eyes, there lied the truth all the time. So even with Chuck, as nice as he is, you can look in his eyes and you can see there's like, oh, this is a real guy.
He's
I'm
lived
talking
a
to.
life.
Yeah, and I also
guy.
think, some of the older guys I find, there's I go back to my days, right, being back east and being around those people, and when they're younger, they by being ass kickers and thugs, that's how they have the power. And then when they get older, they get a little older, and say younger guys can kind of kick their ass, or then they now become more charming and generous, but it's all the quest for power. And I'm not saying that, I don't know Chuck personally, but I've heard the opposite. I've heard other stories about what he's like to work with. And but it's nice to hear this. And I just, you wonder, I also see sometimes when people have reputations in our business, they kind of go they realize they have to make an effort to go the other way.
Right.
You have to play against
especially with a young actor, and say, hey, welcome to set or whatever. So, either way, he's legit. Howard Stern, his name came up.
Yeah.
And in a private conversation with Howard, and he was like, he just laughed. He goes, he's a thug.
Yeah.
he's a thug.
Well, do it for a long time. Marissa's about to pull our plug.
She's about to kill us.
We've now made everyone at AfterBuzz late, so we love you all the other
sorry.
shows.
All right, well, that's
Not
okay.
your fault.
So by the way, so now we see Clay's back. We know the Nomads were working for Clay.
Yes.
And
Finally, they reveal that.
right. So Marissa, we're actually gonna go to predictions right now. We're not gonna be able to do news and gossip.
That's okay. I didn't have any because I knew the
Very
boys
nice.
were coming.
We had the boys.
The boys were here. We didn't need any news.
Predictions. What, guys?
I mean, there's so much to predict that I just hope that everyone in the Suns lives through next week.
Wow, why you think somebody is gonna die?
I feel like somebody has to die.
I think a Nomad's going next week.
I'll happily take a Nomad.
Right?
Happily.
All right.
Like,
Ready.
get them out of
I'm
here.
And Paul, we
done.
can't ask you to predict because you know what's going
I
on.
predict a lot of smiles, hugs, and kisses on
we
the
love
upcoming
that.
shows.
Rainbows and butterflies.
Rainbows, butterflies.
So Marissa, as you take us out of here, I'm going to ask Mo, what else do you have going on? Your websites, Twitter feeds, what?
Tweet.
Twitter, The Real Mo McCrea. I'm on Facebook. I'm just in the streets riding my bike around.
Mo McCrea, what do you ride?
Right now I'm on a street bob, Harley Davidson.
Oh, you're
Nice.
Harley too,
Yeah,
no
Harley.
rice burner.
I'm
loving it.
All American, keep it Harley
I
Davidson.
love it.
Street bob.
Love
Mo,
me my Harleys.
it was such an incredible pleasure to have you here, and anytime you want to come back and watch with us, it'd just be a pleasure to. When we have more time to actually, I would have loved to have broken down this episode more thoroughly with you.
No, the
so
pleasure
please
was
come
mine.
back,
Thank
come
you,
back,
guys.
and
Thank you.
again, anytime you want, that door is always open.
Yes.
And Krisily, where do we find you?
Twitter at Krisily.
At Krisily, that's
At
it.
Krisily.
At
I like it
Krisily.
short and simple. Then I can talk more.
Yeah, but wait, how do you spell it?
Krisily.
I was going to double S you. I was definitely going to
See?
double
Because I'm
S you.
super sweet.
Okay, but that's why we have to say it that way, because I always
All
thought it's the double S too.
Just
And
one.
did you notice how she sung it? Like I just said, The Real Mo McCrea, but she's like at Krisily.
Got
Like, you
it.
have to do it. It has to have a melody.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay, so please, you guys, go to iTunes, rate and comment on us, or go to YouTube and rate and comment. But go
And
to
thank you for all the good
Yes.
comments. We love your support, and we love bringing you the show.
Yeah, next week, baby.
That's right. Thank
From
you, Marissa.
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.